UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Magomedov full card prediction. Like I was saying earlier, if you're a casual that is watching this full card prediction right now and you're thinking, we got an unranked Abus Magomedov in the main event taking on Sean Strickland, a guy that got knocked out by Alex Ferreira, lost to Cannonier, and barely beat a guy outside the top 10. Why do I even care about this fight card? This is a stacked card top to bottom. For a UFC fight night, this is top 5, maybe even top 3 of the entire year of 2023 when it comes to UFC fight nights. We're going to go over every single fight and give our prediction later on in this video. But before that, you can skip along to the predictions if you want to. But right now, we got to talk about how good of a card this is. Co-main event is Grant Dawson, who is currently undefeated inside of the UFC octagon, beating guys like Leonardo Santos. Mike Trizano, a UFC, the Ultimate Fighter winner, he beat Julian Rosa. Submitted Jared Gordon, where Paddy Pimblett got a split decision win on him. Submitted Mark Madsen and took his first loss as well. Now he's fighting Damir Ismagulov. Who is this guy lost to? Arman freaking Saryukian. And then some guy way back in 2015. That is it. The man is beat Joel Alvarez, Thiago Moises, and Guram Kutateladze. That's the co-main. Got undefeated Michael Morales on the card. 24-0. Undefeated in the UFC, undefeated at just overall as an MMA fighter, and a future top 15, top 10, top 5 contender in the welterweight division. We got Melissa Gatto's only loss is to a ranked opponent in Tracy Cortez, but has also beaten a ranked opponent in Karol Rosa right there. Even the women's MMA fights have some solid girls. Melissa Gatto really isn't in that many boring fights, in my opinion. And she's fighting Ariane Lipski, who's had a very up and down career inside of the UFC octagon, but still, even outside of the UFC, she went on a 3-fight win streak on UFC fighters, and is always losing decisions or ground and pound knockouts, looking to get the submission, looking to get the finish. I mean, she puts on exciting fights as well. I wouldn't really rank that one too highly on the card, especially with the others that we're about to look at. And the others are Ismael, Bonfim, and Benoit Sanit-Denis. Ismael destroyed Nariman Abbasov. And this dude was a huge prospect right here. This guy coming off wins over guys that have 40 wins, 32 wins, 20 wins, 14 wins, and not like 70 losses or something stupid. He's knocking out guys with 40-6 records in round number 1. Finishing guys left and right. And then he fights this guy, Ismael Bonfim, who outstrikes him, defends the takedowns, and destroys him on the feet. He makes his UFC debut against Terrence McKinney, a guy that a lot of people did think was going to go out there and beat Drew Dober, was very close to beating Drew Dober, has a win over top 15 Matt Frevola as well. And the man went out there and destroyed him in round number 1 and flying kneed him in round number 2. And this fight is the second fight on the main card, taking on Benoit Saint-Denis, who is 2-1 in the UFC, only losing to a guy that I would pretty much rank number 16 in the welterweight division. An absolute beast right here, who is beating guys like Sean Strickland, guys like Max Griffin, Omari Akhmedov, a lot of former ranked guys and current ranked guys in the UFC. This dude spinning hook kicks Sean Strickland, the guy that's in the main event. And we got freaking Ismael Bonfim going out there fighting Benoit Saint-Denis. We got an undefeated Bruno Ferreira, who, I mean, what did he just do? What did this man just do on short notice? Knocked out Gregory Rodriguez, a guy coming off very good wins and showing his chin, not getting hurt, but coming back and finishing Julian Marquez and Chidi Njokuani, finishing Junyon Park, destroying Dusko Todorovic, knocking out Josh Fremd, and only losing to Arman Petrosian, who's very legit, as he's gone on to beat Christian Leroy Duncan, another high-level prospect. And Bruno went out there and knocked him out round 1. The dude's a freaking beast, and that's the first fight of the main card. And I know we originally were supposed to have Bruno versus Abdulrazak Hassan. This is even better. Nursulton Ruziboev. Not a lot of guys know about this guy. The dude's a finisher as well. The man has 12 knockout wins, 20 submission wins, and 2 decisions. If it goes to a decision, he's got a 25% chance of winning. He's not very good when it does go to a decision. He's looking to get the fight out early on in the fight. And again, he's not really fighting absolute scrubs. His last few wins, 15-2 round 1 knockout and a 13-4 round 1 Kimura submission. That should be an absolute banger between 2 high-level finishers in this middleweight division. And now we go into the prelims. That's just the main card. I already told you about the undefeated prospects on the main cards, guys that are future top 10, top 5s, all that good stuff. Then we go on the prelims and we see a former title challenger in Kevin Lee, who is beaten ranked Michael Chiesa by round 1 submission, beat Jake Matthews. Magomed Mustafayev beat Edson Barbosa by finish in round number 5. Head kick to Gregor Gillespie as well in round number 1, only losing to ranked opponents as well. Leonardo Santos was formerly ranked. Tony Ferguson, former champ. Ale Quinta, title challenger. Dos Anjos, champion. Oliveira, champion. D-Rod, top 15. The dude's losing a beast. And he's about to fight another guy's damn beast here. And Rinat Fakhretdinov, undefeated in the UFC, absolutely destroying the competition outside the UFC with 11 knockouts and 6 submissions. Comes in the UFC and gets 2 decisions, but those are some dominant decisions. One of which over Brian Battle, who is very highly touted in the UFC, beating Andre Petrovic by submission, Gilbert Urbina, Tresean Gore, Takashi Sato, and Gabe Green. And Rinat is going out there 30-26ing this guy, 30-25ing this guy. This dude is legit. That is a crazy fight to have on the prelims, especially with Ariane Lipski, Melissa Gatto there. Those should be flipped. Even Max Griffin, Michael Morales should be flipped, if I'm being honest. We go lower. We got a featherweight contest. Karol Rosa ranked, Yana Santos ranked. Not the most exciting fight, but they're both ranked, and that's on the prelims. Ivana Petrovic, the Aries FC, the French champion, and a finisher. I mean, this is women's MMA. Not a lot of people are fans of women's MMA, but if you get a women's MMA fight where you got a finisher coming in there to actually go out and get the win inside the distance, that's what she's doing. 1 win by decision, 2 submissions, and 3 KO TKO. She's going out there for the finish. We got Joanderson Brito also on the card, who's beating a guy that had a really close fight with Movsar Evloev and is currently 2-1 in the UFC, and also beating 2 UFC guys, Chepe Marisco, who just fought and beat Trevor Peek on short notice. This man knocked him out in round number 1. He beat Wellington Prado, who is also inside of the UFC, or about to be inside the UFC, in my opinion, right there. He's got a lot of crazy wins over there in Brazil. He's going to go out there and fight Westin Wilson. Not the best guy right there, but Joanderson's really legit. You got Alexandr Romanov, a top 15 heavyweight, with like all of his wins by finish, except for like 1 or 2. I think it's only 1 decision win over Juan Espino, the guy that has, I don't think Juan has ever been finished. So, I mean, his only decision wins on a guy that's never been finished. And other than that, all round 1, round 2 finishes. Only losing to top 10 guys in Marcin Tybura and Alexandr Romanov. We go even lower than that. I mean, I know I want to get into the predictions, but I got to show you how stacked this freaking card is. You go 1 lower to that. You had Elves Brener originally taking on Jordan Levitt. That fell through. And now you got Guram Kutateladze as the first fight of the night. A top 20 lightweight in the world who beat Mateusz Gamrot by split decision. And had he split decision lost, to Damir Ismagulov. This dude is legit. And that's like the first fight of the card? Taking on Elves Brener, who went out on short notice and beat Zubera Tukugov. I mean, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a stacked card, top to bottom. And I'm going to get into the predictions now. I'm sorry for making you wait. If you skipped ahead, good on ya. But I had to go through that. Because for the casuals, they might be like, who's Ismael Bonfim? I've never heard of this guy. Who's Rinat Fakhretdinov? He's just going to hold and just wrestle and just hold the fight for 3 straight rounds, win a decision. This dude's legit. The whole card is filled with prospects, future title challengers, contenders in their respective weight class. I can't wait for this card. This is a stacked card. Let's get into the full card prediction. I'm sorry for making y'all wait on this one. This is a very, very good card. First fight of the card in the lightweight division. Guram Kutateladze, Elves Brener. In the lightweight division, Elves is on a 3-fight win streak, getting submission wins outside of the UFC, getting his call on short notice to take on Zubera Tukugov and barely edging that one out. Not a lot of wrestling and grappling heavy of a fight, but the striking was very, very even, and Elves was able to eke out a very close decision. He's now going to be fighting a prime Guram Kutateladze, who's got a win over Mateusz Gamrot, is the better wrestler, is the better control guy, is the better grappler and ground-and-pound type of guy. Elves Brener has some good submission skills. He's not going to go out there and submit Guram Kutateladze. And then the striking, Guram is very, very legit on the feet as well, and I actually gave Guram a slight advantage there as well. Elves Brener is decent on the feet. I think Guram is going to use the fakes of the takedown to set up some shots on the feet. Maybe even mix in some takedowns of his own as well. Elves is a very, very tough guy. He did lose 2 decisions to Sergey Andreev and then Gabriel Santos, who we saw fought last week. But I don't remember him getting finished any time in his professional MMA career. Guram isn't necessarily a guy going out there to just get finish after finish after finish. A lot of his fights do go to a decision. So I have this one going all the way, and I got a 30-27 Guram Kutateladze unanimous decision. Alexandr Romanov and Blagoy Ivanov in the heavyweight division. The odds are really close. -125 for Alexandr and +100 for Blagoy. Blagoy did lose a decision to Marcin in his last fight, lost to Augusto Sakai, Derek Lewis. A lot of really close fights, but they're all going to a decision. You notice all of these ones, Taito Ivasa, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, all of these fights are going to a decision. And Blagoy does not get finished, but a lot of these guys that he's fighting are mainly strikers. I mean, Junior Dos Santos isn't able to finish him because he's got that iron chin. Derek Lewis, same thing. Augusto Sakai, Marcin Tybura. A lot of the guys he's fighting are trying to knock him out, but they're not successful. He ends up making it a little bit dirty, a little bit rough, a little bit scuffy, mixing in some clinch strikes as well, and winning a close decision in a lot of his fights. That's what he's going to have to do here, especially against a guy like Romanov. Defend the takedowns, make it a little bit of a dirty boxing fight, wear on the gas tank of Romanov throughout those later rounds, and try to win by TKO round 3 or win round 2 and round 3 and win a decision on the scorecards. Personally, I think Alexandr knows what he needs to work on. I think like a year or two ago, knowing what I know now about Romanov, if it was the same Romanov from a year ago, a year and a half ago, I go Blagoy Ivanov to win by a decision. But knowing that Alexandr Romanov is going to go home, watch his tape on the Marcin Tybura fight, watch the tape on the Alexandr Romanov fight. His striking defense is probably going to improve because that's one thing he needs to work on inside of his fight camp. The other thing is the gas tank. He's probably hammering down on the gas tank situation. And I think he's going to play it a little bit more conservatively in round number 1 here. I think round 1, he's going to get the takedown early, control it, but be conservative with his ground and pound, not really go all out for the finish. Round 2, he's going to pick up the pace a little bit, possibly search for that finish, but I don't think he's going to get it. Then 1, I think he's going to start to gas out a little bit. But because he did conserve a little bit in round number 1, he's not going to completely gas out. When it does come to round number 3, Blagoy is going to outstrike him, 30 box him, land some good strikes, and I got Alexandr Romanov with a 29-28 decision. Joanderson, Brito, and Westin Wilson in the featherweight division. You know how shocked I am going to be if Westin Wilson, of all people, goes out there and beats Joanderson Brito. I'm going to be so shocked. The dude has 11 submission wins. Round 1 submission, guillotine, 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 sideshow, armbar, over and over and over again. This dude is just submitting and finishing everyone. But he's also getting finished by everyone, except for Bobby King, but he's really not the best. Got Gogo Plata, got armbarred, got rear nakeded, and got knocked out by Teruto Ishihara about a year ago. Now he's taking on Joanderson Brito on short notice. He's not necessarily the biggest featherweight ever. In Westin Wilson, he's going to have a little bit of a tougher weight cut to make 145 here, because it is on short notice, but I think it's a fairly simple prediction here. Westin Wilson is going to go out, look to get the fight to the ground. Joanderson, being the better wrestler, is going to be like, you're not taking me down. What are you doing? You're pulling guard? No, I'm not going down there with you. And on the feet, Joanderson, being the power puncher that he is, the man that went out there and starched Andre Fili in his second to last fight, he's going to go out there and catch Westin Wilson with a bomb in round number 1 or round number 2 and knock him out with a big right hands. Ivana Petrovic and Luana Carolina. In the flyweight division, Luana did start off her MMA career in the UFC. A little iffy. Went out there, got a good win over Priscilla Cachoeira after winning on Dana White's Contender Series, but then she got knee barred really fast by Ariane Lipski. Got a super close win on Pauliano Botello. Had a very close one with Lupita Godinez on short notice and very slightly edged that one out. Then she was getting pressured and bullied, and Molly was pressured and throwing big shots. Then caught her with a spinning back elbow. Then she fought Joanne Wood in a 3-round striking affair where Joanne was just a little bit more active. And that's kind of the thing you got to do when you're fighting a girl like Luana Carolina. You got to be pressuring her. You got to be more active than her. Or you got to get the fight to the ground and mix in that wrestling and grappling. I do believe Ivana Petrovic could easily go out there and make this fight a wrestling and grappling fight. Mixing the ground and pound. She's got a lot of TKO wins, a lot of rear naked choke submission wins as well. She could very well make this a grappling match, but I think she's going to test herself a little bit before then and strike with Luana Carolina. Put on that pressure because Luana is going to be a rangy fighter. She is tall for the weight class. Not as tall as Ivana Petrovic there, but usually, I mean, every single one of her other opponents, Joanne Wood, Molly McCain, Lupita, she's always taller, lengthier, staying at range. This is not going to be the case here with Ivana Petrovic. 5'8" for the flyweight division. That's about where I am for the flyweight division. That's very skinny for Ivana Petrovic. In a 70-inch reach. I don't even know what my reach is, but she's very tall, very lengthy. I think she's going to go out and pressure Luana Carolina very early, because that is how you got to beat a girl like Luana Carolina. Then, I think round number 2 is where she's going to start to mix in that wrestling and grappling. And I do believe she's going to get close to a finish on the ground. I love to see Ivana Petrovic go out there in round number 1, in round number 2, and get a nice finish in her UFC debut, but I think Luana Carolina will survive on the ground, defend submissions, not put herself in that dangerous situations to where she's actually getting ground and pound TKO'd. But I think Ivana is going to go for it. She's going to make it an exciting fight, pressure forward, look for that finish. I think Luana survives, and I got Ivana Petrovic by a unanimous decision. Yana Santos and Karol Rosa. In the featherweight division, this is short notice. Yana Santos originally supposed to fight Macy Chasson on this card in the bantamweight division. I would have got Macy Chasson by unanimous decision. I say she probably outstrike her on the feet, land the better shots, and win the 30-27. Maybe one of the judges had it 29-28, but now she's going to be fighting Karol Rosa. Not really that much of a finisher. The only girls to finish Yana Kunitskaya inside the UFC, Chris Cyborg, Tanya Evinger right there, Daira Dishekova earlier in her career, Aspen Ladd, and Irene Aldana. She's only got one decision loss in her professional MMA career, but it's not like Karol Rosa's really that much of a finisher with so many decision wins inside of the UFC. So I do believe if there's going to be a finish, I'd actually say Yana Santos probably is going to be the girl to get that finish. I highly doubt there's a finish in this fight. Then Karol Rosa makes it boring like always, clinches up immediately with Yana Santos, body shot, foot stompity stump, takedown, grind, 29-28, decision win for Karol Rosa. Kevin Lee and Rinat Fakhretdinov in the welterweight division. I'm going to say it right now. For Rinat Fakhretdinov to be a 2-1 favorite on Kevin Lee just shows you how good Rinat Fakhretdinov really is. I'm going to show you some of the betting odds. Tony Ferguson, for example. Tony Ferguson was a 2-1 favorite over Kevin Lee. And that man is a former champion of the UFC lightweight division. Not the actual champion, but the interim champ of the lightweight division against Alaya Quinta right here. A former title challenger was a 3-1 underdog on Kevin Lee. Rafael dos Anjos, a former champion, was the underdog against Kevin Lee. Charles do Bronx Oliveira was the underdog on Kevin Lee. Daniel Rodriguez was the underdog on Kevin Lee. These guys are all underdogs, and they're beating him. Gregor Gillespie even was only minus 165 right there. The only guy to even match it was Tony Ferguson for the belt. To have this kind of odds on a guy like Kevin Lee, where Kevin Lee is the favorite over title challenger Alaya Quinta champ, Javier Dos Anjos champ, Charles Oliveira the favorite over D-Rod. He's the favorite over all of these guys. And then just now he's fighting Rinat Fakhretdinov, and they're switching the odds. And they're showing you just how good Rinat is. To have Kevin Lee as the favorite over Charles Oliveira, but the underdog, not just a slight underdog, but a 2-1 underdog on Rinat Fakhretdinov, shows you how good that Las Vegas believes Rinat Fakhretdinov is, and how good I also believe Rinat is. He's 11-0 when it comes to KOs. He's 6-0 when it comes to submissions, and only has 2 losses in his entire MMA career, and they were both decisions. In 2013 and in 2014, the man is on a streak. The man is on an absolute streak in the UFC's welterweight division, and even outside the UFC. It says his current streak is 8 wins. It's a lot more than that. Let's do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 wins in a row. Now he's taking on Kevin Lee, a guy very, very good in terms of the submission game. His striking is very, very solid. He's got a lot of rear nakeds on his record, a lot of KOs on his record as well. But he's not going to be able to stop. He's not going to be able to stop the constant takedowns of Rinat Fakhretdinov. And again, Rinat's not a one-trick pony. Rinat's not a guy going out there and just wrestling. The dude can strike as well. I'm actually a fan of Rinat Fakhretdinov when he does go out there and strike with his opponents. It's not for long because he knows he has that much of an advantage when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to the grappling. But Rinat's good on the feet as well. And I would venture to say if it's a 3-round striking fight, Rinat is live to go out there and eke out a 29-28 decision. But the fact that he can also fall back on that wrestling at all times and grind Kevin Lee in round 2 and round number 3, it just leads me to believe that Rinat Fakhretdinov is just going to smash Kevin Lee in this fight. Again, Kevin Lee was a slight favorite on Charles Oliveira. Now Rinat is a 2-1 favorite on him. And there is a reason for that. it is because Rinat is better pretty much everywhere. Submission skills, grappling, ground and pound, size, strength, wrestling, clinching, all of that stuff. I give the advantage to Rinat Fakhretdinov. Striking, maybe Kevin Lee has a slight advantage, and maybe he catches him on the way in, but I believe the chances of that happening are slim to none. I got Rinat Fakhretdinov by a 30-27 unanimous decision. Nursulton, Ruziboev, and Bruno Ferreira in the middleweight division. I'm going to say it first. I'm going to say it right now. This is short notice. Nursulton is coming in on very, very short notice, and his last fight about a year ago was at 196 pounds. It was at 196 pounds. Before that, he was in the middleweight division. Before that, he was in some open weight class. I mean, this dude's hopping around so many random different weight classes. I mean, this one is literally an open weight class where he's not even having to go out and weigh in, which is insane. But he was fighting in the welterweight division for quite a while earlier on in his career, but now he's just fighting every which way he can in all sorts of weight classes and things like that. I do believe he's going to be a little bit smaller than Bruno Ferreira here. Not in terms of height, of course. The man is 6'4" tall, very lengthy. Very good striking at range, but he's more known for getting the fight to the ground and mixing in those submissions. Arm bars, Kimura, submissions over and over and over again. But I don't think he's going to get the takedown on a guy like Bruno Ferreira. Bruno has solid takedown defense. He's very, very strong. He is not taking the fight on short notice. He's not coming in randomly to fight Bruno Ferreira just off the couch. This dude's been training for Abdulrazak Hassan for quite a while. I think he stuffs the takedowns of Nursulton Ruziboev, and I think he does what he did to Gregory Rodriguez, and I think we got a little bit of a war for as long as it does last, and I got Bruno Ferreira catching Nursulton Ruziboev with a nice right hand in round number 1. Round 1, TKO. Ismael Bonfim and Benoit Sanit-Denis in the lightweight division. I'm feeling very, very good on Ismael Bonfim. The main game plan of Benoit is to take the fight down, wrestle and grapple, and grind to a unanimous decision or get that finished like he was able to do against Nicolas Stolz, and then got that solid TKO win on Gabriel Miranda. Those guys are nowhere near the level of an Ismael Bonfim. Gabriel Miranda, nobody really even knows who this guy is. He just came in there on short notice, had a one and done, and is probably going to get cut right back outside of the UFC. That is not the case for Ismael. I think Ismael Bonfim is going to be a future top 10, top 5 UFC lightweight in the world. He's 27 years old, small and compact for the lightweight division. Very, very powerful, amazing takedown defense, and some of the best striking in the lightweight division. And I'm going to be honest, he is a threat to the top of the weight class because he could wrestle with guys like Gamrot, Saryukian, Chandler, and all of these guys. He can wrestle with all of these guys and defend their takedowns, and then he strikes with them on the feet. I think he beats Matt Frevola. I think he goes out there and beats guys potentially like Mateusz Gamrot, potentially like Beneil Dariush. I think he's got good shots to beat a lot of these guys in the lightweight division. And Benoit Sanit-Denis is a little bit too one-dimensional. I don't know, maybe he's been training a lot and developing his striking recently. I don't know. We won't know that until the fight happens, but based on what I've seen from Benoit's striking and Ismael's striking, Ismael is far superior in terms of the striking. Gonna defend those takedowns, and I do believe this time that ref is not going to be too merciful like they were. Not merciful, I mean too cruel like they were in the Lizu Zaleski fight. And they'll end the fight after he drops him 1 or 2 times. I got a second round TKO win for Ismael Bonfim. Melissa Gatto and Ariane Lipski in the flyweight division. I think this one's going to be a grinder. I don't necessarily expect this one to be an absolute banger of a fight, but there should be some good scrambles and jiu-jitsu sequences here and there from both girls, as they are both Brazilian. They're both jiu-jitsu girls and very, very solid on the ground. But I do believe Melissa is the better wrestler and is going to control the fight on top of Ariane Lipski, land some good ground and pound shots and control to a close 29-28 decision. Max Griffin and Michael Morales in the welterweight division. 79-inch reach, 6 foot tall. He's taller, he is lengthier, and he is 13 years younger than Max Griffin right there. He's undefeated at 14-0, knocking out Adam Fugit and knocking out Trevin Giles in his first 2 UFC fights. Now he's fighting Max Griffin, who had a really, really controversial loss to Neil Magny. But again, he's very inconsistent. He has that close of a fight with Neil Magny, but then loses to Alex Oliveira. It's very, very weird for this guy. But he's not a guy that gets finished. The last time he got finished was Colby Covington back in 2016, and that was a ground and pound TKO. Other than that, it was the Ultimate Fighter Season 16 where he got submitted. I don't think we're going to see a finish here. I think Michael Morales is going to go out there, use his height, use his reach, stay at range, stay away from the power of Max Griffin, and just out-volume and pick apart Max Griffin at range on the feet. And I got a 3-round striking affair. Michael Morales by a unanimous decision. Grant Dawson and Damir Ismagulov in the lightweight division. I got a few scrambles taking place here. Obviously, they're going to mix in some wrestling, some grappling, but I don't expect a lot of control from either guy. I don't expect Grant Dawson to go out there, take down Damir and hold him there. Damir to go out there and take down Grant and hold him there. There will be sequences of grappling and wrestling, but for the most part, I expect this one to be a striking match. Grant Dawson, I believe, is slightly less good of a striker than Damir Ismagulov. Damir does land a bit more volume than Grant Dawson. I think Damir has a better chin than Grant Dawson as well. I think the fight does go all the way to the judges' scorecards, and we got 3 rounds of a very, very close grappler versus grappler striking match, kind of like a Colby versus Usman, where they're both really good wrestlers. They're just going to strike for 5 rounds. Same situation here. I got this one staying on the feet for 3 straight rounds with the volume and the better chin. Goes to Damir Ismagulov. Power is very even as well. I got Damir Ismagulov by a close, controversial 29-28 decision. Sean Strickland and Abus Magomedov in the middleweight division. Abus coming off that knockout on Dustin Stoltzfus. Before that, fought 2.5 years prior. Before that, it was 4 years prior, and before that, he got knocked out pretty badly inside of the PFL by Luis Taylor, who was 39 years old. He is taller and lengthier than Sean Strickland, a bit older than Sean Strickland as well, but pressure goes Sean Strickland. Volume is going to go Sean Strickland. I think Abus will have his moments early on in round number 1, maybe even in round number 2 as well. But I think Sean Strickland's really going to pour the pressure on Abus Magomedov in round 3, round 4, in those later rounds. Maybe we see Sean get a takedown on Abus, showing these fighters from the European and the Caucasus and the Russian regions that Sean can actually go out there and land some takedowns of his own. And I do believe we're going to see Abus Magomedov win early on in round 1, win a little bit early on in round number 2, start to get tired in round number 3, get a little bit more tired in round number 5, and I got Sean Strickland catching Abus Magomedov on the cage, landing a good shot, getting some ground and pound shots off as well, and I got Sean Strickland with the TKO win in round number 4. That is it for the full card prediction. UFC Fight Night. Strickland versus Magomedov. I got Sean Strickland by finish in round number 4. Damir Ismagulov 29-28 decision. Michael Morales by a decision. Melissa Gatto by a decision. Ismael Bonfim round 2 TKO. Bruno Ferreira, round 1 TKO. Rinat Fakhretdinov, 30-27 decision. Karol Rosa by unanimous decision. Ivana Petrovic by unanimous decision. Joanderson Brito by round 1 TKO. Alexandr Romanov by unanimous decision. And Guram Kutateladze by a unanimous decision. That is it for the full card prediction. Like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, still like the video. Come on, guys. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications if you want more videos like this. And as always, check the description down below if you want to support the channel, donating $3 a month, as well as getting a spreadsheet of all of the bets that I make for UFC, PFL, Bellator, Dana White's Contender Series, all of that stuff. If you want to support the channel and get an idea of what I'm going to be betting every single week, click the link down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.